G'day RPG makers, welcome to the RPG Maker MV Game Dev channel. Let's make a game. Welcome back to the RPG Maker MV official tutorial walkthrough. We're going to continue on with step 11, help tutorial. Step 11, start. You can skip the warning. Do you have the project? Yes we do. Let's load that up. Game, open. Project is loaded. Let's start the tutorial. Now, we're going to make a setup that opens a door when our lever is operated. That actually is going to work on this tunnel here, which if you did the extended edition of the last tutorial, you will know that we just blocked that off. So let's just move these over here by clicking and dragging them over. And we're going to find that this is where we're going to put our lever, and this is where we're going to put our door. First, let's put the lever. Double click on here, enter door lever as the name. Okay, we're going to click on the image, double click, go to the bottom, find switch 1, choose the lever that is second from the left at the top, click OK. We're going to fix the direction on that, and we're going to set up the content. Set up control switches, and we'll click the switch number. If you did the Lost Puppy quest, that was actually set up as control switch 2. I've just changed that over to control switch 10, just for the clarity of this tutorial. You can do that yourself if you'd like to. We're going to enter this as dungeon door. Click next. Click OK. Set it to single dungeon door on. OK. Let's set the noise. Double click the next line. Click the tab. Click play sound effect. Scroll on to find door 1. Okay, door 1, door 1, door 1. Where's door 1? There we go. Click OK. That's the setup for page 1. Now we're going to go to new page. We're going to set the switch condition. Set the switch number. Dungeon door. Click OK. Double click the image. Scroll to the bottom of the list. Click switch 1. Click the middle switch in the third row of the levers to the first left in the top half. That's the lever pushed the opposite direction. So we're going to click, so you're going down 3 and then across 2. Click OK. Set direction fix. Then we're going to set content input. Content will be the door closing operation. Okay, make sure you're on page 2. Click gather followers. That's actually not necessary in our case because we've turned off the system to show the followers, but we can turn that back on just for testing. Otherwise people will get trapped. Double click the next line, play sound effect, find door 1. The list, click OK, double click the next line, page 1, control switches, switch number. Make sure that 2 is selected. Click OK. Off. Click OK. Now I've got on and off. Play sound effect and control switch are in reverse order, but the order doesn't matter for this. Let's have a look. Control switch. Control switch. Next. Click OK. Let's create the door. Find the path to the right of the entrance, 1925. Double click. Enter lever operated door. Next. Double click the image. And we're going to click door 1. And we're going to choose the middle door from the top row of the group furthest to the left in the top half. A bit confusing, but it's just second from the left on top. Click OK. Check off direction fix. Okay, next. Double click the first line of contents. Click show text. Okay, you cannot pass. Okay. Set up for page 1, new event page, check the switch, click the switch number, make sure that 2 is selected, click OK, and that's all we need. The door has disappeared. Click OK. Save that. Run the playtest. Pull the lever and check the door opens and closes. Door's gone. Door's open. Door's gone. Door's open. Okay. That's the end of the official tutorial, step 11. Right, so that's the end of the official part of step 11, but let's continue on and extend this a little bit. You notice that when the door pops open, it just disappears. That doesn't look great. Maybe we can do a quick fix to make that look a little bit better. Before we do, we're going to do a lot of testing, and we don't want to see the title screen pop up every time. It just starts to get annoying. So let's just get rid of that. If you go to your Steam Apps, Common, RPG Maker MV, DLC, you'll find this RPG Maker Web Plugins, Yummy Skip Title. Okay, you can also just search your computer to find that. Under your tutorial project, okay, go to your JS folder, go to your plugins, and just copy and paste the Yummy Skip Title plugin into your JS plugins. And that's how easy it is to add a plugin to your game. Click Tools, Plugin Manager. Now if you remember, we switched off the Show the Splash screen. That just made it a little bit faster. Just add a new plugin by double clicking. Click on the drop down. Now we've got Yummy Skip Title. Okay, skip the title scene for testing purposes. Because it's skip it, we want it to be on. Click Apply. Click OK. Now when I press play, I go straight to my scene. That makes it a lot faster, and we can just get going straight away. So what we want to do is we want to make a door that does something a bit more interesting. We prepared one a little bit earlier up here, so let's just go up and have a look and see how that looks. So the switch does the same. Door's locked. Open it, and now what happens? Well, there you go. Okay, so this is a little bit more exciting in terms of the visual aspect of it. It's not amazing, but it's something. So how do we create this door? Well, one thing that you can do is reference existing elements and templates. So we know that if we right click and do quick event creation, there's a door in there. So let's take advantage of that door. And we'll just do a default for the moment, click OK, and see what happens. Let's press play. Okay. But it's teleported us. Right. And then it's just disappeared. Well, that's kind of handy, and it looks okay, but let's see. Now, it just made a little bit of a screen sort of fade when we did the teleport, because it's actually effectively the same thing as switching maps. So we don't really want to do that. So let's just delete the transfer player part of this. Okay, what it does is it plays a sound effect. It sets a movement route for the door, this event. And it sets a movement route for the player, which is just a step forward. And then it plays another sound effect, and then you're done. After that, so how does it get the door to disappear? So if you look very carefully, what you can see is it goes turn left, turn right, and then turn up. That's actually the animations that are associated with the door image. So this is facing down, that's facing left, right, and then up. And you can see the up is actually a blank image. So that's one way to get a door to disappear, is to play a small animation. So let's just go back and have a look again, just to see what it looks like when we press play. Now, what we've accidentally done here is we've remove the door animation by clicking on the bottom one. So we'll just click OK, put it back to the top one, and now the door's back. Okay, so we'll just go and have another look again. We're going to have a, now that we've inspected that a bit. So we go, you can see it goes open and doesn't come back. So let's just make this a bit slower for starters so that we can see what we're doing. So what you do is to adjust this part of the event, click here where it says set movement route, just press spacebar to edit it, click there, press spacebar. We'll change that to 10 frames. Just make it a little bit shorter. Now each frame, 60 frames is 1 second, so if I change it to 10 frames it's just 1/6 of a second. Now if I click OK and OK, we'll just press play. And we'll see if that's a little bit slower. Okay, so now it's going a little bit slower. Still disappearing. Let's see if we can make the door not disappear. So we'll just change the event. And the turn up part is the bit that's making it disappear. So let's just delete that. And see what happens. Now we can see the door's still there. Doesn't look fantastic. Probably do a bit more with that. What if we had the door open and close instead of just opening? So it opens up and then it closes behind us. So to do that we just really want to just duplicate the same aspects of the previous bits above it. So we just Control C, Control V, and we'll just do it backwards. So we'll go left, oops. Okay, so we had turn left, somehow we've accidentally deleted that. We had a turn left, then we had a turn right, turn left, and then we'll go through. Let's see how that looks. Okay, now it's kind of gone up and it hasn't gone back to its original state. It's because what we didn't do was add in a turn down, which is the original state of the door. Now we're turning right twice. That's probably not what we want to do. What we want to do is we're just turning up. See what happens there. As you can see, it's much faster to playtest when you disable that. Okay, now what happened was the door goes open, and now it's open again. We can pass through it. It doesn't lock. Okay, so it opens up, then you move, and then it just stays there. Why is it just staying there after the switch is switched back off? Remember, we only have one page here, whereas in our tutorial door we actually had 2 pages. Okay, the first page doesn't have any conditions attached to it. Second page only starts if you have a switch for the dungeon door, and that's when it disappeared. So let's go back and fix that up. So we want to have a new event page. I can either just do a new event page and start everything from scratch, having to bring up the image and set everything, or I can just copy this event page. Do paste. Okay, now we've got all of the same default information, but now what we're going to say is only if the switch is for dungeon door is active. Okay, we're going to apply that. I'm going to make this a little bit more descriptive. Door unlocked. Okay. Now it's unlocked because when we start the door is locked. And that means that none of this stuff, we don't want any of this stuff to happen when the door is locked. So let's just change that. We'll just delete all of that, press enter, put some text, and we'll say the door is locked, just like the other one. Okay, we'll apply that, click OK. Right, now let's see what happens when we press play here. Okay, now you see that we're still going through after the door, and the door is locked, is showing, but it's also moving the door. So let's, on page 1, let's just fix that. We'll apply it exactly the same as it was in our original door settings. Okay. And let's see if that fixes the door opening slightly before we go through. We'll lock the door, just leave it locked. Okay, now it says it's locked and it's not doing anything. Okay, now what happens is we go through, but once we go through, it only happens once, and then after that we can keep passing through. So what we don't want to do is, we don't want this door to stay passable. Okay, so let's just set that. Now, the easiest fix to the issue of us waiting for the door is to untick wait for completion. Okay, so we'll apply that. Press play. Okay, it's still not working. Okay, we have an issue here. Now, that's because the through component is at the end. The player can't move through until the end of that. Let's fix that. Press play. Okay, now we're moving one step in, and then we're stopping, then the door's passable after that. Let's fix that. So, we only moved one step, let's move 2 steps. That'll just take us a little bit further through the door. Now we walk through. After we pass through, the door is still passable. Let's not do that. We want to set the door so that after we pass through, it's no longer passable. Click OK. Now what happens? Now we find that it's getting activated every time we go through. That's fantastic. Right. So, that's much better, I think, than just a door that disappears. Still looks a bit weird. Maybe we could give some kind of effect to make it look like we're actually passing through. So how do we do that? One easy way to do that is just to make the player a little bit transparent. But we don't want to do full transparent, because if we do that, let's see what happens. Our player's disappeared. We're still there, but now we're invisible. We don't want that. We could either make them go invisible, and then visible again. Okay, they've completely disappeared. There's another effect that you can use, which is instead of making them completely invisible, we could just make them a little bit opaque. So, for example, we might make them 75, and then change the opacity back to original. So, set movement route, press space to get into the options here, click at the first at the top, click change opacity, 75. Let's see how we go with this one. Right, so now we can see that it gives it a nice little passing through kind of effect. Okay, the door and entrance is still a bit naff. Maybe we want to just make it look a little bit more like an entrance. So how would we do that? That's going to require a bit of mapping. So if you recall, we had events and maps mode. Let's change back to the map mode. Now the standard way to do a doorway is to find on the in the default tile set. You can find on tile set B. There's a scroll down a little bit, and you can see some holes. Okay, so we can put a hole in here, for example, and then we press play. We have a look what the hole looks like. Okay, looks okay. One thing that I like to do with the holes is just to give it a bit of a door. So what that looks like if it's standing by itself is an overhang there, and then you put a bit of a hole. So we had the bit of a hole, and then we put a bit of an overhang. It gives it kind of a doorway sort of a feel. Okay, you can also use this kind of half doorway. Okay, give the overhang, changes it slightly. To remove, to just put your tiles back, you just right click on one of the ground tiles there, and then left click, and that'll just put back the tiles how they were. Okay, so let's just press play and have a look at this now. Okay, now we can't walk through our brand new doorway. And why is that? The reason is that the tile here is actually solid. So we just painted a new tile, and now that is a solid object according to the game. So let's go back and fix that up. What we can do, instead of making the door transparent, where we can the door able to be passed through, we can actually make the player able to be passed through. So we'll remove through from the door, and we'll change the player to be able to pass through anything. We don't want them to stay with the ability to pass through everything, so we just want to switch that off at the end as well. Click OK, click OK. Now if we click play, okay, we can see that there's kind of a doorway looking thing. I'm sure that someone could come up with something better, but that's about as much as we need for this tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's move on to the next one. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, please consider smashing that like and subscribe buttons, as they do help with the algorithm. Now it's time for you to go and make your game. See you in the next one.